And I remember there's like actually a chapter in my book and it's called The Saddest Day of My Life. It might sound a bit dramatic, but I remember waking up and I was like, I don't want to feel like this anymore. I can't do this. And I remember seeing Byron in the porta cot and he was crying, and I was like, I'm not giving him the life that he deserves. Like, I can't do this anymore. Because I was very, when you have postnatal depression, like a lot of mums will relate, you don't feel a connection. So, you know, he was born and I just kind of went.
Welcome to another episode of Planting Seeds with Soul. Raw conversations on transformation, truth, and finding light in the darkest places. You may not hear what you want, but you will definitely hear what you need. Alrighty, you beautiful bunch of bone bags.
Great introduction.
Welcome back. Another episode of Planting Seeds with Soul. Today we have Kirsty Thomae, who is a passionate registered nurse, mother, law student and writer who knows what it means to defy expectations. At just 15, she became pregnant, facing stigma, trauma, and a future many thought was already written, but she refused to accept that narrative. Through persistence, self-reflection and a fierce commitment to her children and her goals, Kirsty completed her nursing degree and has just written a book, Against the Odds. Her story is living proof that where you start does not define where you can go. Welcome, Kirsty.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Yes. Thank you very much for making the trip.
Thanks for having me.
Is it from the sunny coast?
Yeah, Sunshine Coast, yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
I used to live Budrum for a little while.
Yeah, I love it up there. We're sort of near Caloundra, so just off the offskirts, yeah.
Is Caloundra like a little bit south of Budrum? Is it south?
God, I'm terrible at directions. I need my husband to ask.
I actually, yeah. I know if I'm in the middle of somewhere, I've got no clue about my bearings.
No idea.
Yep. I actually went for a run around here not long ago, and I just ran up to the local golf club.
Yeah.
And I said to Kels one day, I'm like, I wonder where that road goes up. And she's like, oh, that just wraps around and brings you back here. I'm like running up there one day. I'm like, oh, sweet, I'll take this new path, something different. It'll just bring me back home because Kel said it does.
It didn't.
It didn't fucking take me. No, it did not take me back home. I got so lost. I got lost around here for bloody ages.
That's like my husband. He laughs at me because I still use GPS for my workplace. I'm like, I go there every day, but like, still need the GPS. He's like, it's one turn off, and I'm like, I don't know. I remember the turn off.
If you don't need to remember it, then why not?
Exactly. It helps me.
I always use maps.
Yeah.
I'm a maps man.
100%.
All right, Kirsty. This is. I was just saying before, like this is a sharing.
Yeah.
This podcast, and Kels has given us like you've been like mates with Kels.
Yeah, we've never officially met in person, so today was the first time, but we have spoken online since I think my middle child Matilda was just born, and so she's nearly 9. So it's been a long time. We always talk on Instagram, but we've never actually met. So
well, you get to know someone pretty well, especially Kels. Like I know how she talks with everyone and she keeps people in the loop and all that sort of thing. But, you know, Kels has told us a little bit about your story and I definitely want to get to know a bit more of that story in depth. So
can't wait.
Yeah. Inspired by, I was saying before, the share circles in retreats that they do, the ayahuasca ones that I do especially, you know, I get a lot of help from just listening in on everyone's story and I guess experiencing, or would you call it third hand, from what they've experienced firsthand.
So
and
well, I share a lot online, sometimes too much. I'm like, maybe I shouldn't have posted that. Questionable. But yeah, like I've never done anything like this before, so this is really exciting.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right, I'm just going to do one thing. I'm just going to bring that a little bit closer to you.
Yep, sounds good. That's better.
Beautiful. So like where would we begin? I guess begin at the start. This is your sharing.
I can tell you. So the start of my journey. So I was in high school, and I really struggled. Like we were talking about before, I'm probably undiagnosed ADHD. Yeah, the psychiatrists at work diagnose me all the time. So I really struggled in school. I had a really short attention span. I always wanted to do like naughty or dangerous things. I was very experimental, so I did a lot of drugs. I was drinking a lot of alcohol, and I was only 14. So I was very rebellious. My parents regularly got knocks on the door from other parents going, your daughter is a menace to society, which I was. No
Like,
doubt
is
about
it like pull her head in type deal?
Yeah, it was like, she's a bad influence on my daughter. Do not let her hang around my daughter. And my poor mother was just like, oh, we're good parents, which they were. They were great. But yeah, I just really struggled. So I struggled being in a classroom. It wasn't that I couldn't do the work. I was just really bored, and I just wanted excitement. So I regularly didn't turn up to class, and I started getting in trouble. I was expelled from my first school in year 8.
Wow.
So I was in an all-girls school. I got expelled. And, you know, my dad thought it was maybe because I needed to go to a co-ed school, because that's what I said. I was like, I want to go to a co-ed school. So he sent me there, and I sort of just went on a downward spiral. So I had a lot of friends outside of my school who weren't exactly the great influences, and I got involved with them, and then my life just kind of started going down. And then I think I probably got worse in year 10. I struggled keeping my friendships. I was sort of on like a really bad path, and a lot of my friends were like, nah, you've gone too far. Like, you know, my other friends knew when to stop. I never did. I was always at the parties. I was always doing the naughty stuff. You know, cops were called. That was me. So in year 10, really funny actually. So you know how in school they give you the fake babies so you don't get pregnant? Yeah. So I fell pregnant 2 weeks after that.
You're kidding?
No.
So how old is this?
So I was in year 10 and I was 15.
15?
I was 15, yeah. So we had the fake babies, and I chucked the fake baby in my wardrobe, right? So chucked it in there. I failed so badly they considered it child abuse.
Oh, yeah, right.
Got kicked out of the class. Yeah, and then I know that you can imagine how mortified my teachers were that I was pregnant 2 weeks later after that ordeal.
Oh, wow.
So
hectic. Here we go.
It sort of started, my parents were like, get into a school-based apprenticeship, because they knew I wasn't doing well at school. They wanted me to have a distraction. So I was like, yeah, okay, I'll do a chef apprenticeship. Like, this can't go wrong. So, you know, I got there, but I was sort of around adults who were letting me be involved in their adult behaviour. So all the adult parties I was invited to, like, you know, they were getting my alcohol, all that. So then I went down kind of an even worse path. And that's where I met the children's father, who was 20, coming up to 21, and I was 15. And we had only been together a couple of weeks, and I fell pregnant. So we never actually intended on staying together. We actually split up for a little while and then got back together, and then I found out I was pregnant. So that was really hard, because obviously I was still a child myself. I always say to like other young mums, like, you know, when you're that age, it's really hard to make big decisions, right? So I did have a few people say to me, why can't you just have an abortion? Just have an abortion. And it didn't sit right with me. And I'm like 100% pro-choice. I'm like, do what suits you, whatever. I just had this feeling, I was like, I can't do it. I couldn't go through with it. So I decided to keep the pregnancy. And me and my eldest's father, we ended up staying together for 9 years. So we were together for an extended period of time, and we ended up having 2 more children together. I think the problems arose when I got into probably my 20s. And I started to have a lot of trauma and PTSD. And it just came from, I kind of realised we had a trauma bond. It wasn't really a relationship, and that's all I knew since I was 15. So I was like, I'm staying in this. And I was very someone, though, despite being young, I was like, you stay with the father of your children, you don't leave. Like, that's what should happen, like happy family. So we stayed together.
And like sacrifice your happiness.
Yeah, and I was really, really miserable. Like, I was really, really miserable. But the thing is like I say this to young girls now, like, if you're a young girl and you have an older man interested in you, it's not right.
No.
You know, you're underage, you're still a child. You know, I was going through a lot at school. I was in a very vulnerable position. I was feeling really depressed because I was obviously using drugs. I was taking alcohol all the time. Like, there wasn't a moment that I wasn't. It was like that was my coping mechanism in school. So, yeah, you know, he's never really taken any responsibility for that. That's fine. I've moved on with my life. He's sort of estranged from me and the children. But, like, I don't regret it. Like, me and my son, Byron, so he's 14 in September. And, like, he's my best friend. Like, he's had his challenges and things like that. Like, he's had a lot of trauma and stuff from his childhood. But he's like my best friend. Like I know he's got my back and I've 100% got his. And it's a really funny dynamic because sometimes I feel like he's the parent. Like he came up to me the other day and he's like, Mum, you're overstimulated and you need a hug.
maybe he's been here before.
Yeah, like, yeah, I'm like, God, you're incredible. Like sometimes he'll be like, Mum, you're being really immature. And I'm like, oh, thanks for telling me, buddy. Like, so it's really like a hard dynamic sometimes because like he's my best friend, but then I'm like, no, I need to be a parent. Like I need to draw that line.
Yeah, that's what it's like with me and the boys. Like I am their best mate.
Yeah.
No, they're my boys, but they're not my boys. Like if you want to put it down to, not my biological children, but having that friendship there with them, and also trying to be like, you have to be serious sometimes. And like when I'm trying to be serious with them, sometimes they're already starting to smile. Like one little creak of the lip comes up, and I'm gone. I'm like I start losing it too.
That's totally me. But like my husband Josh, he's taken on all 3 of my children, and you would not know he's not their biological dad. He is amazing. I cannot fault him. He is the best dad to my kids.
What is it like having with all this happening so young?
So I think it's affected me, and I'm actually still getting help now. So I'm through a program where they actually give me counselling and help me from that court case and conviction. So it wasn't until recently, it was actually my husband. He's like, I think you actually need the help, and I was like, I'm fine. Like, because obviously I'm a psychiatric nurse. So I was like, no, I've got this. I know what's wrong. Like, I'm completely fine. And he's like, you're not. You need to see someone. So I'm normally someone who bottles things up and just, deals with it. So I don't really deal with talking to someone. Like, I start to diagnose myself and I'm like, oh, yeah, I know this is the problem. So we're all good. Like, and, funny story, I actually had a psychiatrist when my children were younger. And she went on stress leave the next day.
Oh, really?
There was a lot to
You unpacked too much.
Yeah.
Let me, I can't breathe.
I remember at the end of the session, she just looked at me and she went, that's a lot.
Oh, really?
And I was like, yeah, but I'm good. I'm fine. And she's like, are you? And then I rang up the next day and I got a text message and it was like, your appointment's been cancelled. And I rang up and I was like,
dead set.
Yeah,
can.
No, dead set. She actually canned me.
Oh, wow.
They were like, your appointment's been cancelled. And I was like, why? Like, is she okay? They're like, yeah, she's just gone on some stress leave. She should be back. And I was like, oh my God, did I do that?
Oh, wow. What do you find? What actually do you find that the thing that helps you out most presently?
Honestly, my husband. Like, my husband is my rock. Like, we have such a good friendship, such a good marriage. Like, I used to think that I was like, no one's genuinely happy in a marriage. That was my view on love. And I was like, no one actually loves anyone. That was my view. So when I met my husband, it actually took a really long while for me to be like, oh, this man really loves me. Like, I was waiting for him because shortly after I separated from the children's biological father, I actually got into a really bad domestic violence relationship. So it actually ended with me being put in hospital and there were charges laid. It was really, really bad. So when I met him, I was waiting for him to lose it with me or scream at me or insult me or laugh at me when I was crying and hit walls and he never did and he's never changed and we've been together over 5 years and he's actually very logical. Like, even if I'm grumpy, he'll be like, okay, Kirsty, like, you just need to calm down and I'll come speak to you later, babe. It's all good. Like, and I'm just like, oh, like, you're not going to lose it? Like, so it took a very long while to adjust.
How bad did the DV get?
It was really bad.
Really,
I was completely battered.
Like mental and physical, it's all like at the end of the day.
Yeah, so he was actually my best friend in high school. So I really trusted him. I really, really trusted him and I really loved him as a friend. And shortly after me and the children's father separated, I went over to London and he sort of messaged me and we started reconnecting then. And I was on a family trip because all my family's over there. And so we reconnected and I really trusted him. And I remember I started to date. He didn't live with me or anything. It was just sort of a boyfriend-girlfriend, we see each other situation. And it ended up getting really bad. So I actually found out that he was a meth user and was storing it in my house. I had no idea. Like, no idea. No idea.
Closet junkie.
Yeah.
Sort of, that's like what I was. I was a closet one until I got caught and then I was out of the closet.
Yeah, like it was just, I had no idea. And I kind of feel stupid now because everyone's like, the signs were there. But I think when you got rose-coloured glasses on, it's like you don't want to see that. So you're kind of like, But he wasn't, thank goodness, he wasn't heavily involved with my children. So it was sort of a thing we saw each other when the children were seeing their biological dad and, it was just sort of me and him. But it got really bad. So there was one occasion where he threatened, I bought curry for dinner and he went off about the cost because he used to drain my bank account. And so I'd be working and he would just completely drain my funds. And I ordered dinner and we got in the car and he's like, how much did it cost? It was something silly, it was like $40 or something. And he I had the girls in the car at this time, which so obviously had to report to police. He drove my car off the road, smashed in my windscreen, locked the doors and would not let us out of the car. So I think that was the closest I was like, oh my God, he's going to kill me. And so we ended up separating. There was charges laid. There was a domestic violence order put in place. And I remember feeling like, when you're sleeping and you feel like someone's watching you or something, I woke up at 3 a.m. in the morning and he was standing over my bed and had broken into my house. And at this stage, this was towards the end of things, I was actually talking to Josh. So that's my husband now. So I was actually, So I was actually talking to him and he went through my phone, found it, and I was running down the hallway trying to get help from the neighbours, but they'd actually gone away, so no one could hear me. And I was screaming for help and he grabbed me by the hair and threw me on the tiles and smashed my phone in the garden. But before he actually smashed my phone, he'd sent Josh messages and it was like, I want nothing to do with you, don't ever contact me again, etc., etc. And I was actually in the house with him for 48 hours. He would not let me leave.
He was keeping you prisoner? Yeah,
he wouldn't let me leave. He's like, you're not leaving. I was there for 48 hours and then I remember laying in bed and he had gone to sleep and I had this gut feeling and I was like, no, I need help. So I contacted my mum and I was like, I need help, something's not right sort of thing. And my mum and my dad didn't actually know what was happening to me. So I kept it very hidden from people. I would wear long sleeves, I would wear long pants, no one knew. So all under me I had bruises everywhere, but no one knew. So a few people at work had picked up on it and were like, are you okay? And I was like, not really. But I never let on. I was just like, yeah, I'm good. I'm fine. He kept me there. I messaged my mum and I said, if I send you a message that doesn't make sense, I need you to get me help. And so my mum, this was very late at night. She obviously read that message and was like, what is going on? This is not normal. So she got my dad and I think it was 10 seconds and my dad was around my house with police. And then obviously I was actually wearing a singlet top at the time. So they saw all the bruises and they were like, nah, but I remember my dad, I love my dad. He's my best friend. He's amazing. I can't.
I was actually going to, bring your dad up because Kels goes, oh, look at the photo just on social media and you mentioned something about your dad,
He is honestly the best dad. I don't know what I would do without him. Honestly to God, he's my best friend and my husband actually reminds me a lot of my dad. I can see it. Your eyes are glossy as. Yeah, I love him. Yeah. And obviously my dad saw that and didn't know what was actually going on. So he laughs about it now, but he actually lunched across the table at my ex-partner and the police, it took 2 cops to take him down.
What's your dad's name?
Kevin.
Good on you, Kevin.
He's a legend.
Bloody legend. I would have done the same thing. I hope you got to him, mate.
But do you know what? The police were fabulous. They were like, no, we would have done the same thing, mate. It's all good. Yeah. They were awesome cops. They were like, you need protection, and they really protected me and were wonderful. So then that sort of ended. And I didn't really want to get too heavily involved with my husband because I still had this stuff going on. So you'd walk into my house and, there was wardrobe drawers pulled off, there were walls kicked in. You could see that the abuse was happening. So I didn't want to get Josh involved. So I sort of kept my distance for a little while and I actually worked with his sister. So she was like, you need to contact my brother. He's a really lovely guy. And this went on for a while, actually, before I'd even separated from the children's father. And I was like, oh, I'm not interested. I'm married, And it went on for a while. And then finally one day I was like, you know what, screw it. When we'd separated, I was like, I'm going to message him. And so that's how we actually met. And I was running late for work one day and I'd actually been with Josh and I turned up and his sister's like, where have you been? You're late, I need to go somewhere. And I was like, I was actually with your brother. And everyone just burst out laughing at work. And they were like, sorry, what? I was like, I'm so sorry. We'll get to that later, but I'm here.
Yeah, nice.
So we fell really hard and fast for each other. We actually got engaged, Kels will tell you, within 3 weeks of knowing each other.
Oh, really?
Yeah, 3 weeks. And
impatient, aren't you?
I know. But I remember it because it was Mother's Day. And so he said he actually proposed to me then to show me that it wasn't just for me, it was for my children as well.
Oh, how nice.
Yeah, so he's a chippy. So he came in, fixed my entire house up, paid all of my costs to move out of my house and got me out of the lease because of domestic violence. And he's like, you're moving in with me. That's it. Like, I'm going to protect you. And at first I was like, is this really a good idea? Like, getting into something so soon? But yeah, like, we just fell really hard for each other. Like, it was like nothing I'd experienced. Like, I just knew he was the one. It was just bizarre because I've never felt like that about anyone. So yeah, we got engaged in 3 weeks. He proposed on Mother's Day and we've been together ever since. So.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And good on you, Josh.
Yeah, he's amazing.
Yeah, good on you, man. Like, I'm a carpenter as well.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Awesome.
but by trade, I'm not the best. I'm sort of like diverse.
Yeah.
You know, I did the bones of this here, but just for me to do it, because I'm in construction still.
Yeah, awesome.
Just sort of taking too long. So I got, you know, other people in to hurry up the process.
Well, he loved it, but he actually quit his job to fully care for my youngest, Luna. So she's full special needs and she can't go to school. And she's.
He quit his job?
He quit his job. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was. So she got kicked out of, I think it was 5 schools. She's autistic and she doesn't cope. So it was
how severe is it? Or
so she's level 2, but we need to get her reassessed because it's sort of got worse as it's gone along. But yeah, she doesn't cope in school. She goes in, she becomes non-verbal, she flips tables. She cannot cope. So it got to the point the education department was like, yeah, we can't. Yeah. So we had a discussion one night and he was like, you know what? Because I was trying to homeschool and work night shift and then stay awake all day and then go back to work, and I was studying full time. So he was like, look, do you want to quit your job or do you want me to quit my job? What works better? So we had to come up with an idea, and I was like, but we kind of need both of our jobs for income, right? Like, it's not going to work. So I came up with this idea to work. I have 3 jobs actually, but I came up with this idea to work agency as well as my permanent jobs. So agency as a nurse brings you in a lot of money because you're sort of on call, like they give you the shifts and you can go in and do whatever. So, you know, I can make $1,000 a shift. It's very good money. I do in charge shifts, so I'm in charge of the whole facility. But the only problem with agency is you haven't been there before. So you walk in, you're responsible for like hundreds of people and you're like, I don't even know where like the medications are, but I'm going to figure it out. So that's why it pays so well. So I worked out, you know, working agency and working my permanent jobs, I'm making 2 incomes. So it ended up working really, really well. And he homeschools Luna full time, does the kids, lets me study. And yeah, it's a really good dynamic actually.
Yeah, wow. It sounds like as bad as things, you know, got for you. It's like the universe had your back, you know what I mean? It's like...
Yeah.
Do you believe all things happen for a reason?
I 100% do. And I mean, sometimes I think it's hard to find the reason. Like, we're like, why? Why did I go through that? Why did
Especially when you're in it, right?
Yeah, exactly. And you're like, why is this happening to me? But I can tell you, like, every bad experience I've had something come out of it and I've gone, that's why that happened. Like, I've grown as a person. I've learnt this.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, he was like, you know, we had the discussion and I was like, I can't be a full-time stay-at-home mum. Like, I'm just not, I'm not maternal. Love my kids to death, would do anything for them, but I'm just not, I can't stay at home. I'd go stir crazy. So he was like, okay, I guess I'm quitting my job. And he actually quit that same day.
Oh, wow. What?
Yep.
That's unheard of. I know. That's amazing.
He's got so much patience, like with Luna. He's just incredible. Like, you know, she gets very overstimulated and she'll start to lash out and things. And he's just like, it's okay, I got this, babe. We're fine. Like, just let me deal with it.
Patience is a powerful weapon for good.
Yeah. And,
it really is.
You know, the love he has for those children, and it's like he stepped up and was a dad from day one. It's like, that's incredible to me. Like, yeah. Absolutely.
And like all of the things that have happened, like you can talk to young girls about, you know, pregnancy young.
Yeah.
When it comes to DV, you can talk to people in that world because you've experienced that world.
Yeah.
I don't think you can truly help someone
unless you understand.
Unless you've lived there.
So true. And I think that's why, you know, I love psych nursing because, like, you know, people laugh at work, but I'm like, they're my friends. Like, the patients, they're awesome. Like, I love them. Like, you know, I think unless you've gone through mental health struggles yourself, it's really hard to relate because, you know, you're seeing people with behaviours and lashing out and stuff and you're going, what's wrong with you? But, like, I understand it because I've been there. And so I'm just like their friend. I'm like, hey, do you want to listen to my story? Do you want me to make you feel better? Like, it's not a bad life, it's a bad day. It's not going to last forever. And that's what I always say. And, you know, I just sort of, you know, have a sense of humour with them. They're human beings. Like, they're honestly some of the best people I've met have been my patients. And I always say, you know, like I was saying before, the only difference between me and you is that I wasn't honest with my therapist. I'm probably going to be over there in the room next to you next week, buddy. One more admission.
I won't even be in the padded one.
And it's like, you know, when I do an admission, I'm like, if you're going to abscond, can you just let me know, because I'm not fit. If I have to run, like, give me a head start, please.
You're not wrong. Far out. There must have been some proper mental health, you know. We've all got some shit going on, you know what I mean? Like, how bad must the mental health have been from the, you know, abuser?
Yeah.
You know, like, how deep's those scars? Like, how deep's that run?
I think, because, like, obviously what I was saying before is I had really bad postnatal depression with Byron. So when I fell pregnant at 15, it was horrendous. And, you know, I don't even know how I actually survived it. Like, it was that bad. And I was trying to explain to my husband, he's actually never experienced mental health. He's like, I don't get it, never will. And I'm like, that's fine. And, you know, he was talking about, you know, suicide and things like that. And he's like, but that's selfish to do to someone, like your family. And I'm like, but when you're in that point, you're not thinking about that. That's not what you're thinking about. Your brain is going, everyone's better off without you. And that's what mine was doing every day. And I remember sometimes I'd just sit there and I'd be like, I can't. Like, every day it was like my brain was on repeat for 3 years. And, you know, I was talking to my mum about this the other day, and I was like, every day I got out of bed, it was like, kill yourself, please. That's what all I heard all the time. And it was like, everyone's better off without you. You're a terrible mother. Everyone's better off. And that's what I heard for 3 years. And, you know, you have anxiety as well. So I stopped going out, and I wouldn't, you know, go to mothers groups and things because I had so much anxiety and I felt so depressed. And it's like, you know, to get out of bed is even an effort. To shower yourself is an effort. And so I think I understand those things in psych nursing. Like, it's, you know, you're not going, oh, they're lazy. Or it's like, I'm going, yeah, you got depression. I understand. And there's many, like, mental health illnesses I won't understand because I haven't experienced them. But I think that background really helps me with my job. So,
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I've lived in that world before too. You know, it came you know, alongside the addiction and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But, you know, having lived there, and it's like being lost in a maze in the dark. And it's not until some little slither of light comes past. Imagine being lost in a maze in the dark, like, for a very long time. You got no idea what the fuck's going on, where to go, and then finally some sort of light comes past. Of course, you're gonna be like, oh, I can bring
that
it
is
on.
like a great way of explaining it. And I remember there's, like, actually a chapter in my book, and it's called The Saddest Day of My Life. It might sound a bit dramatic, but I remember waking up and I was like, I don't want to feel like this anymore. I can't do this. And I remember seeing Byron in the porta cot, and he was crying, and I was like, I'm not giving him the life that he deserves. Like, I can't do this anymore. Because I was very, when you have postnatal depression, like a lot of mums will relate, you don't feel a connection. So, you know, he was born and I just kind of went, oh. But it wasn't that, oh my God, my baby. It was,
you know, Kels had it, right?
Yeah, she was talking about it to me, and it's such a horrible, dark time. Like, you know, you get the baby blues, and that's quite normal for every mum, and it lasts a couple of weeks and then you get over it. But postnatal depression is a long-term thing. And I never got help because I was so scared of the system. So because I was 15 and pregnant, so what happened was I turned up for my antenatal appointment, thought that's all I was turning up for. And they're like, Kirsty, can you please come to this room? And I was like, oh, I was so terrified. I remember being like, what is going on? And a social worker pulled me into the room and she's like, take a seat. And I was like, sorry, like, what's going on? And she's like, we need to make sure that you can keep your baby. And I was like, sorry, what? Like, I was completely blindsided by it. I think I was like 30-something weeks pregnant. And I was like, sorry, what do you mean? And she's like, well, you're underage. She's like, we need to determine once you have that child if you can take him home or not. She's like, we knew it was a boy. And I was like, I was terrified. And I remember sitting there, and it wasn't a supportive environment. It was very cold. It was very, we need to tick and flick these boxes and, you know, and then get you out of here. And I remember her asking me a lot of questions, and, you know, she wanted me to charge his dad, and she put a lot of pressure on me, and she's like, you were underage, this isn't acceptable. And I was just really overwhelmed, and I was obviously pregnant and very emotional, and a teenager too. So could imagine how scary it was.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, you're right. And so I just, she kind of asked me about my parents' jobs and, what my dad earned and stuff. And as soon as I told her that, she's like, yeah, well, good, you can go. And I was kind of like, what has that got to do with me as a parent? Like, I'm glad you let me go, but what? Like, it was just a very odd and horrible meeting.
Because they, like, to be honest, they don't know what the F's going on either. Yeah. It's wild.
I know. And, like, I remember leaving that room and I was like, I had anxiety from that moment, like, are they going to take my baby? So I feel like that tied in with my postnatal depression, and that was where it sort of went downhill, like that interaction. And so as a healthcare worker, like, I just make sure that, like, especially in psych nursing, I do have another job as well, but psych nursing, that's my background. It's like, I don't want anyone to feel unsafe, because when you come onto a psych ward, that's overwhelming, right? Like, even... Like, if you're not used to it, like, I work in it, I'm used to it. Yeah. But if you're not used to that environment and you walk out, and you're going to be scared. You're going to be like, what is going on?
I was in tell me if it's similar, mental health ward in Rabina.
Really?
For a good, I can't remember, maybe a week or maybe longer.
Yeah.
My memory's a bit foggy, but I was put under the Mental Health Act. Deep in psychosis from smoking meth.
Oh, jeez, that would have been so rough.
I didn't know what was going on. I was in the maze.
Yeah, that's horrible.
Yeah, big time. And I was so scared in there. Yeah. Like, I don't know. I was scared to be by myself because I'd always been distracting myself with the pipe and the party and then obviously you're withdrawing as well. Yeah. And it's like you don't have dependent on so
anymore.
many distractions.
Yeah. And, I look at my patients and, as soon as they come in, I'm like, hi, I'm Kirsty. Like, and I'm like their friend, because I'm like, some people who come in don't have anyone. And how scary must that be, suffering from mental health illness, and you're suddenly put in this psych ward. Yeah. And, you're like, who are you? Like, what are you going to do to me? It's like, I've had so many situations where I've had, because we obviously, on a psych ward, we have a lot of code blacks, which means, someone's they're attacking staff, or it can get quite severe. So it's like, even in those situations, I have to be like, whoa, come on, like, let's talk about it, what's going on? What can I get you? What do you need in this moment? And most of the time people will be like, I need this. And you're like, no worries, let's sort it out. Like, and when you take that approach, I feel like it's so much better than, going hands-on or being like, nah, like, So I really love my job. I've actually taken a little bit of a break from the psych ward, so I'm casual there at the moment. And then my other job is being in charge of an aged care facility. So that's like my peaceful job. So that's like my calm in the storm.
The yin and yang.
Yeah, it's great. And I love that job. Like, it's really special looking after the residents and, being in charge and stuff like that. But yeah, I do, like, I'm working on the psych ward tomorrow, actually. Oh, yeah. And I just love it. I feel like it's one of the most rewarding nursing jobs. I truly... Like, anyone who wants to be a nurse, a lot of people don't want to work in psychiatric nursing. I'm like, best nursing job ever. I love it. Like, it's great.
Is there a lot of drug-induced stuff going on there?
Yeah, there is a lot of drug-induced stuff going on. And it's like, you have to kind of realise that's not the person, that's the drugs, and get past that point. And when you see, I think the most rewarding thing is when you see someone on the ward who's been doing drugs for so long, and then they get clean, and then you see them walking out the door, and you're like, that is just... And mate, they're a totally different person, and you're like, oh my gosh, like, you've made a difference.
I had one nurse there. There was good ones and bad ones.
Yeah.
That she was just so lovely to me. She's like, you're going to be all right, Corey. Yeah. Like, you're not past the line yet. She said to me, you're not beyond the line. She goes, if you go out and just look after yourself, like, you're going to be all right. I'm like, yeah, but they're saying this to me. They're saying that to me. They're like, she's like, just, go out there and keep doing better and all that sort of thing, look after you.
You need that in psych nursing. You need kind nurses who really genuinely care. Like, I mean, I couldn't imagine, going through my postnatal depression and going to psych ward and someone not caring and you're just a number. Like, you need to have that connection and build those friendships. And
I think so.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
And she wasn't trying to push anything onto me, you know what I mean?
Nah. And someone has to be ready to get the help as well. So, the best thing we can do is just support people and just be like, I'm there when you need me. And that's,
You would have had... It's amazing that you're doing this work. Thank you, by the way. Oh. Because we definitely need it.
No, I love it. It's really rewarding.
Maybe we can work together one day.
We totally should. I would absolutely love to. Yeah,
that'd be good. It's definitely a world. I'm in that world, you know what I mean? I'm deep into the that
And
drug.
you've experienced it.
I have,
And we always say on the cycle, we're like, if you've experienced it, you're a great psych nurse because you can relate. You're like, yep, I know what worked for me. Let's do this. Yeah.
And I'm experiencing it from a different view now too. So every person that I meet, like yourself, I look at you as my teacher. Like when I'm looking into your eyes, I'm looking into mine at the same time. It's just another version of me, and there's a lot to learn from that, I think. Yeah,
we can learn so much from each other, and it's just it is really rewarding to help people. We should totally do something.
Yeah, definitely.
But that's why I wrote my book, because when I was a young mum, there was nothing like that out there. I felt really alone. And I was like, there's nothing out here in Australia that actually goes through someone's journey and like the rawness of it. So I tried to be really honest in my book and be like, this is what I went through. And that saddest day of my life moment, I was coming back to that. I was like, it's my undiagnosed ADHD.
There we go. Welcome to my world too.
Totally undiagnosed. One of the psych registers like at work, he's like, do you have ADHD? Like just looking at me, and I was like, I'd probably.
Hang on, butterfly.
He's like, here's your free diagnosis. I'm like, thanks, buddy. But one of the chapters in my book was the saddest day of my life so I tried to pull myself out of it for Byron, my son. I was like, he can't live this life anymore. Like we had no money. Like it was a real struggle to buy formula. Like we used to sell stuff, like our stuff, possessions in our house so we could afford formula. Wow. We were so broke. And so I went for this insurance job, and I remember like I was wearing hand-me-down clothes. Like I went in and I thought I did quite good, and I was like, awesome, like I'm going to get this job. And like I couldn't even afford the fuel in my car to get to the job, so I was hoping it would I would make it. And I was like, if I don't make it, I already had a plan. I was like, I'll just park at the park and then I'll walk the rest of the way, and then I'll help somehow get home.
Wow, that's full on.
Yeah, we were really broke, really, really broke. So I went there and I was like, yeah, I've done really well. And I remember like my car made it, and then I got back to mum's house and I picked Byron up and I was like, I've totally got this job. Like I did really well. Like I've got it. And it was like an insurance job. So I had Byron in the back of the car, and I remember like I think I had like 60 cents on my bank card.
Wow.
And I was like, Byron, do you want an ice cream cone from McDonald's when they were cheap? And I was so excited. And he's like, yeah, mum. Like, so we went to the drive-thru and he was like so happy. And I was sitting at McDonald's and I was like, yeah, I totally got this job. Anyway, they got back to me quite fast. And I remember getting the phone call and I was like, yep. I was like, hang on, Byron. And he was on the playground. And I was like, hello. And I was so confident. And they're like, hi, Kirsty. Like, we just wanted to let you know you were unsuccessful.
Oh, no way.
And I just sat there.
Put that ice cream back.
yeah, by 60 cents. No. And I remember sitting there and I was like, it was like the saddest day of my life, because I remember Byron looking out from like, the clear bubble thing on the McDonald's playground, like smiling at me. And I saw this lady walk past, and she was like in business clothes, and her daughter was with her dressed really nice, and she had a designer handbag, and she walked in and she's like, what do you want, sweetie? And I was just like, shit, like I want to be her. Like she doesn't know how badly in this moment I want to be her. And I remember Byron getting in the car and I started crying, and he like looked at me through the rear view mirror and he's like, Mummy, what's wrong? And I'm like, nothing. Like, and I just went back into like this depression mode, and it was just so hard, because every opportunity that I thought I had, someone would turn me down, or they'd be like, nah, sorry, you don't have qualifications. No, sorry, you didn't finish year 10. Because I didn't even finish year 10. I didn't get my year 10 certificate.
Yeah.
So I ended up going to TAFE and getting my year 11 and 12, and then going to university. And then I was actually in law school, which I am now. I was actually in law school after I finished year 11 and 12. And then I ended up in another story. I don't know how I have such bad luck, Corey. Anyway, I ended up...
Maybe because you're talking about it right now and manifesting it. Why do I have bad luck? It's because I'm saying it.
I've hit 30 and surely it's going to get better.
Are you 30 now?
I've just hit 30, yeah.
I swear.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm not... A lot of the people that I meet and my age was 30. Something happened to me.
Yeah.
It was like dark night of the soul, a great awakening, a spiritual awakening, whatever you want to call it. Like I went from a fucking victim, not responsible for anything, to it sucks that I am where I am from every choice that I've made, and I know that now.
I do feel like that. I have to admit, I hit actually coming when I was still 29. I was coming up to 30, and I was like, made a lot of bad decisions, hurt a lot of people in the process. Probably wasn't the best person at times. Like I'm acknowledging that now. But yeah, I think when I was at work, one of the elderly ladies, she's like, oh, is it your birthday? And I was like, yeah. She's like 87. She's so funny. And she goes, Kirsty, it's all downhill from 30, right? And I was like, excuse me? I was like, I thought I was going to be 30 flirting and thriving. What do you mean it's downhill? And she's like, no, she's like, everything starts to hurt. And I was like, well, my back actually is starting to hurt. But yeah, she was like, it's downhill. But yeah, so I actually was in law school, and then I had my daughter Luna, and all mine were natural births, all fine. She was great. 4 hours in and out of the hospital. And then 2.5 weeks later, they found out they left half the placenta behind.
Inside your body?
Yes.
No good.
I know.
Far out.
Someone's got a voodoo doll of me or something, I'm telling you.
They're just poking that area like, da-da-da-da-da.
Come on. But yeah, so I found out I had half the placenta in me. I went to the doctor because I was like, hey, I'm feeling really sick. Something's not right. And she's like, oh my God, get to ED. I was like, what? So I went to ED. I was like, oh yeah, this will be fine. I'll be in and out. Went into septic shock. Nearly died, had a DNC to remove it. And I remember before I was going in for surgery, I had like this real weird gut feeling like I'm going to die. So I had this really weird, odd feeling. And I remember this student nurse holding my hand. And I said, hey, I think I'm actually going to die in this procedure. And she looks at me and she goes, sweetheart, it's only a DNC. It's 15 minutes, you're in and out. She's like, you're going to be fine. I said, nah. I've got a gut feeling I'm going to die. And she's like, no, you're fine. So I went in, was put to sleep, woke up in recovery. And I remember the children's father was there and I said, I think my water's just broke. And he goes, what? He's like, you've already had Luna. She's born. And I went, no. And then all of a sudden had a 3.5 litre hemorrhage and blood just went everywhere.
No way.
Yeah, all over the bed. They kicked him out. He was like, what? Like he was mortified. I just remember passing in and out, and I remember the nurses shouting, clear recovery, get everyone out, and everyone was like hands on deck.
Did you go lightheaded, like from all that?
Well, I completely blacked out. So I came round, blacked out. I think my last memory of it was we were in the room just before you go into theatre and all my veins had collapsed. So they were trying to get a cannula in, and I remember the doctor getting the cannula and chucking it. He's going, fuck, he just couldn't get it in.
Yeah.
So, and then I'm just coming in out of consciousness and they're going, Kirsty, are you with us? And I just black out again. And so I got taken in for surgery, and then next minute I woke up in ICU. And yeah, I'd gone into septic shock. So I was having seizures, and you know, my dad got this is why I love my dad so much. We have such a close bond. So my dad got a message from my ex-partner, and he's like, Kirsty needs a blood transfusion, something's gone wrong. So my mum goes, I remember it because we were in the park with your kids and your dad just starts running out of the park to his car and just jumped in his car, and my mum's like, hey, come back, what are you doing? And yeah, so he arrived at the hospital and they were like, she's fine, she's stable, it's all good. Like, you can even come see her. But they hadn't passed on the message that I was really critical.
Yeah, right.
So it was something like the gynecologist didn't communicate with the other team, and they were like, no, she's stable, but I wasn't. So my dad walked into recovery, which they normally don't let family in there, right? Walked in. He had photos on his phone. He's actually got photos on his phone. There was blood everywhere. There was me having seizures. And there was just nurses and doctors and everyone everywhere.
So he's come in and thinking you're all good.
Yeah, and the gynecologist walked in and he's like, oh, shit. Like, he didn't even know what was happening. So, you know, seeing your daughter like that, and they let Dad be with me, but I don't remember a whole lot. I just remember I was having a lot of seizures. I was coming out of consciousness, and, like, it did stop there. So I ended up in ICU. I came out of hospital. I'd recovered, got home, was home 8 hours, hemorrhaged another 3 litres on the bed. Got taken back to hospital, was again admitted.
Far out.
Yeah, and then so I had about, I think it was 9 or 10 hemorrhages all up. So I ended up coming out of hospital again. They put me in an ambulance to the Royal Brisbane because we lived in Toowoomba at that stage. They're like, no, we need to get you in an ambulance. The helicopter's not here. We need you to leave now. We need to get you out. And, you know, my dad advocated for me. He was there every step of the way. I swear he did not sleep for weeks, like not even exaggeration. I remember him being awake for 72 hours just by my side. And they put me in an ambulance. So my dad was like, I'm going to meet you there. And like, he's like, I don't know how I didn't get a speeding ticket because I was doing like 160. He beat the ambulance there. But I remember being in the ambulance and I had this paramedic, and, you know, he was sort of like really, you'd class him as like looking rough around the edges, like he had a cigarette. He was just like, you know, he was really laid back, and I was like, oh, I sort of was a bit judgmental because I was like, God, like, can he save my life? Anyway, this man saved my life, right? So we were in the ambulance, he's talking to me, he's like, tell me about your kids, and all of a sudden I've just gone, I think I just hemorrhaged, and he's gone, oh, I don't think. And then it just went everywhere again in the ambulance.
No way.
So they don't actually keep blood transfusions inside an ambulance. They keep them in the special ambulances, you know, the grey ambulances. If you see one of those, that means it's bad.
Yeah, right.
So he was like, he was trying to talk to me and he's going, stay with me, stay with me. Weirdest feeling of my life. Everything went white. I remember it was like my mind was playing my life as a movie. Weirdest thing ever. It was like, you know, like the old school video clips. That's all I remember.
No, that's not weird.
It isn't?
No, not at all, because I've had a death experience before, but this happened while I was in a very dark, deep state and still trying to hurt myself. I had a very big visualization where it was actually like this Interstellar. Have you seen that movie Interstellar?
No, I haven't.
At the end, he goes through all of these timelines and there's all these like separate rooms and videos playing and times of his life, and
that's crazy.
That's the experience I had.
That's so weird. I wonder if that's like a common thing then, like if you're near-death experience. That's bizarre.
It is, but yours was like the old school rundown one,
Yeah, it was like running down, and it was like someone said to me, like weirdest thing, because I'm not religious, like I tried to be because my husband is a Christian and he used to go to church, and I'm like, that thing's going to set on fire as soon as I walk in. And I remember just thinking it was the weirdest experience, and I saw all of these memories, and it was like of my kids. And then someone said to me, your kids need you and it's not time yet. And I just woke up and I was on top of a building and they were rushing me in for surgery. Weirdest thing ever, but they were like, that paramedic saved your life. Like apparently he did everything in his absolute power. Like they were like, he was talking to you, he was holding your hand, he was going, Kirsty, don't shut your eyes, Kirsty. Like he was just the whole time to Royal Brisbane, which they went light and sirens. And then like we thought that was the end of it, because I got better in the Royal Brisbane Hospital. They were amazing, best hospital. Like I cannot fault them. Went home, and then it was 3 days later I hemorrhaged again.
No way.
Yeah.
What is going on
I don't
there?
know.
What?
I told you, I'm unfortunate. So, I was helicoptered back to Brisbane in the helicopter. I was really critical, and this went on for some time. And then I had multiple procedures, multiple surgeries, so many things happen. And then eventually I got better. Well, actually, no, I'm not better, because this was in 2017. I have to have a hysterectomy in the next few months.
You do?
Yeah. So I've hemorrhaged ever since then. I have on and off hemorrhages. So they were like, look, me and Josh were trying for a child for a while. So unfortunately, I had 3 consecutive miscarriages, 20, 23, 24, and recently this year. So they were like, no, because every time I hemorrhage and I'm really, really unwell. So they were like, you don't really have an option. It's a hysterectomy. And I was like, you know what? I've come to peace with that. I was like, I'm actually happy just to get this over with and have my life back, because I've been so unwell. Like I'm constantly anemic. I constantly pass out. I'm constantly getting sick because of my immune system. So I was like, and Josh was sitting in the doctor's office the other day actually, and they were like, is your husband happy with this? And my husband goes, don't friggin' ask me. He's like, she's the one who's hemorrhaged all these times. I don't give a crap.
Hey, there's other ways.
We did.
If you really want to.
But like, I'm not maternal. And I've realised that. Josh knows that. I'm very career driven, and that's like my focus. Love my kids, my best friends, but I just don't think that's what I want anymore. And like, maybe, who knows, maybe that's why that happened, because it was like, this isn't what you want really deep down. I think on the first miscarriage, I was really, really devastated, and it really hit me hard. And then I didn't sort of acknowledge it. I actually went back to work 2 days later after hemorrhaging and everything else. So you
didn't have any time to process?
No.
I think that's what I was going to actually step back to now that it's here.
Yeah.
Not having time to process something. So you having the baby when you're so young.
Yeah.
You've already got things that, you've been through in life, from parents or school or whatever experience, big or small type things that get put in us that we need to deal with. And then you have, this experience, which is like, there's definitely not going to be any time for you to work on you now. No, and like, I feel like those things come up later. I feel like you can bury it, and you bury it and bury it and bury it. Yeah. And then, I actually, like, a lot of people don't know, this year it really hit me when I had my miscarriage, because I had the second miscarriage, and that was a really horrendous one. So the baby was still alive, but my cervix had started to open, and they sent me home and they said, you're just going to have to let it die. It was the most horrendous thing. And then I hemorrhaged. I fell off the toilet and hemorrhaged and face planted into the floor 8 hours after they sent me home. So it was a really horrendous
miscarriage, it was like, you know, they were showing me the baby on the screen and there's the baby with a heartbeat and everything. And they're like, nah, sorry, it's going to die. So it was very hard. And so I didn't process that either. I actually went straight back to work as well. And Josh wanted me to have time off and I was like, I can't. No, I was like, no, I'm fine. I'm all good.
Yeah.
And so this year, I wasn't devastated that I miscarried. I was like, okay, I'd accepted it. But all of that came back up. So it was like I went into this, I don't think I was depressed. I think I was just processing things. And, you know, if someone brought it up to me, I'm like, I'm fine. And everyone at work's like, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, like it's not what I wanted. And like deep down it wasn't what I wanted. But I think like the grief from all of that came back up again. So it was very hard. So you know, I'd be at work and I'd be like, I'm fine, I'm good guys, I'm fine. And then I'd go to the toilet and cry and then I'd come back out and be like, yeah, so we're good. Like,
Why do we do that?
I don't know. I think it's like, because I felt embarrassed that my body couldn't do what it was supposed to do. And like everyone at work, like you shouldn't feel that way, but you know, everyone at work, you know, was falling pregnant and like I was so happy for them because I'm so excited for my friends and things like that. But it was just so hard. Like you're standing there and you don't want people to, you know, feel
you don't want to ruin their celebration.
Yeah, like you don't want people to look at you and be like, oh, like she had a miscarriage. Don't say anything. You don't want people to be like that. I think that's worse than if you actually, you know, people are talking to you about it up front. And so I really struggled with that. And it was actually one of my patients. So she knew I was pregnant and she's so beautiful. But I was sitting with her and we were doing some colouring in and she sort of said to me, she's like, how's the baby? Like, are you okay? And I sort of just said, yeah, I lost it. It's all good though. And she's like, are you all good though? Like that was my patient. And she's like, are you all good though? And I was like, not really, but I will be. And she was like, you don't always have to be okay. And she's like, you told me that yourself. And I was like, wow, like you're giving my own advice back to me. I should probably use it one day.
Kels does that to me all the time. I'm like, shut up with my shit talk.
Stop it. I said that when I was motivated.
Yeah. I know it'll help me, but I want to stay in this shit place for a bit longer and bash myself up.
I know, but that's what I say to my patients. I'm like, you know what? You say I help you. You help me every single day. Like I learn stuff from you guys. Like you guys are amazing. Like, and so she said to me and she sort of put her arm around me and she's like, it's going to be okay, Kirsty. You always tell me that. And, you know, every time I say to my patients, it's not a bad life, it's a bad day. She said that to me. And I was like, I'm glad you actually listened to me. And she's like, oh, I always do. And I was like, thank you for making me feel better. And like, it just made me feel a bit better. And then I sort of processed it and I was like, you know what? Like I said to my husband, we were sitting on the bed, like chatting one night and I said, I'm actually not okay. And he's like, what do you mean? Like, did something happen at work? And I said, no, I'm not okay. I was like, I haven't processed these emotions and they've come up and I feel absolutely terrible.
Yeah.
Like, and so Josh sort of helped me through it and he was really, really patient because I sort of shut him out because I felt embarrassed that I couldn't keep these pregnancies. So I just sort of shut him out because I'm sort of someone, if I'm hurting, I hurt others. I just push them out and I'm like, I don't need you, I'm fine. I've got it myself. And I've always been that way. So yeah, he was very patient with me, so patient and so loving and so kind. And I just remember looking in the mirror and I think it was, you know, because I'd gained a bit of weight from having this pregnancy and I've lost it from stress now. But yeah, I gained a bit of weight and I remember looking in the mirror and I was like, it's not fair. And he's like, what do you mean? And I was like, I should be fully pregnant by now. This isn't fair. Like, and I was so upset and he's just like, he came up to me and he's like, babe, he's like, it's okay. You're not okay and it's okay. And he's like, I'm not okay either. Like, it hurt me as well. And then I was like, yeah, actually, you know what? I haven't really considered how he's feeling because it did hurt him as well. He's a very kind and loving person and he's like, but you know what? It's hurting both of us and we're going to do this together. And he's like, we're both going to be hurt, but we're going to help each other. We're not going to be against each other and blame each other. And he's like, we're going to support each other. So that really helped me. And he was so kind and patient and, you know, even my son Byron, he'd come up to me and he'd be like, Mum, you're not all right, are you? And I'd be like, I'm having a bit of a bad day. And he'd be like, come here, give me a hug, Mum. Like,
that's awesome. Yeah, I love that shit in the household.
Yeah.
And like a bloke that can be an actual, like that's a real tough bloke to me.
Yeah. And like, I feel like Byron, because he's grown up with me, like he's been through so much himself, that kid. And like, I say to Josh sometimes, I'm like, God, like, he's been through so much, but he's the best kid. Like, he went through a really difficult stage and he was happy. Like, he's like, you can discuss this on your podcast, Mum. But he was so, like, out of control. And I was like, God damn, like, what do I do with this kid? Like, because he'd hit the teenage years, he was getting in trouble. And I was like, God, like it's like I'm getting karma for how I was as a teenager.
It's Byron, hey?
Yeah, Byron.
Byron, what's up, Byron? If you ever
Love
want
him.
to,
He's awesome.
Don't get tattoos on your head.
Hey, that's
No,
the least of
actually,
my worries.
I'm only joking. That's where you start.
Go for it. No, but he's awesome. And I was going through this and I was going, Jesus, like, and I was getting so frustrated and I'm going, God, I was getting phone calls at work about what he was doing and things he was getting up to. And I had to kind of like reflect back and I was like, what did I need at that age? How do I actually connect to this kid? So it took like a good year of my time of like rebuilding our relationship, because like we had a good relationship, but it was just getting frustrating because I'm like, why are you acting out like this, buddy? Like, and then I kind of had to think to myself, I was like, hey, he's been through a lot, hey.
Yeah.
I need to be patient. And so I sort of like built my relationship with him again as like a friend. And now he's like my best friend. Like that kid, honestly, he was at the hospital with me yesterday because I'm still recovering from pneumonia. And he's like, you're right, mum. And he's like holding my hand. He's like, you're right, mum. You need anything, mum? And I'm like, no, mate, I'm all good. And then he was talking to the doctors and he actually looks a lot older than he is. So people think he's 18 because he's taller than me. He looks older. So like one of the male nurses came up and made a joke. He's like, oh, buddy, like mum works lots of night shifts. He's like, do you go out and party? And Byron's like, I'm 14. And the nurse is like, I'm so sorry, that was so inappropriate. And he's like, I've been offering him coffee and everything and making these adult jokes. I was like, it's all good. But yeah, so he's very mature for his age. Like, you know, I think we've got this strange bond where if I'm not okay, he knows I'm not okay, and like he's really good at being there for me. So
that's good.
That's really special.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think one thing that we do, and like he would be going through this as well, I think this is just a part of the process, and I think around the 30 years old, if you're lucky enough to break through, it's like we spend our life burying ourselves under all of this shit.
Yeah.
Thinking that, you know, and we get to a point we think we're broken, but we're not broken. We're just like buried under all the stories and stuff.
I feel like I'm still going through it. Like, you know, I was saying before, my book got a lot of backlash because people thought that it was an attack on the children's father and things like that. And I was like, no, like that's not what my book is about. It was about my story, and I was very conscious not to badmouth anyone in it. Like it was my journey, but at the same time, it wasn't to attack anyone.
You want people to learn from it.
I want people to learn from it. It wasn't like they did this wrong and they did that wrong. But, you know, I'm still going through that and, you know, receiving messages that I shouldn't be sharing my story. And I was like, you know, I said to Byron, he's like, Mum, you've been through this for 1.5 years. Like, this is ridiculous. And I was like, yeah, I know. And that's coming from you and you're 14. Like, you've seen it all. But it's like, you know what? I'm going to share my story because I'm entitled to.
Absolutely.
And, you know, that's my story and that's what makes me me and how I got to where I am. So... Like, this is why I think, you know, you'd be writing a book. It's for things like this. So just to jump back a tiny bit, that postnatal depression that you've had, and actually all the experiences that you've had, you know, you've been working through things and getting past things, healing from things, transforming, whatever way you want to put it. Yeah. What have you found out about postnatal depression that's helped you along your journey to actually help better you and got you better from that, etc.? I feel like I should have got help. That's one of my things. I feel like if I had got help sooner, then I probably would have been better sooner and been able to be the mum that, like I always say to Byron, I'm sorry you got the damaged side of me because there was a lot of years that he got the unhealed version of me where I was going through things and I didn't really know how to be a parent. Like I was young and that affected me as well. And people have a lot of expectations of young mums that you should be acting like a 30-year-old parent, and the reality is you're not. You're very young. And so I struggled with that side of things, and I wish I had reached out and been like, I'm really struggling, I need help. I mean, I was so terrified of the system because like they wanted to take my child because I was underage. So I think that shed a negative light, and I always say to everyone in psych nursing, if I had someone who supported me and was like, hey, we're not here to like threaten you or anything, we just want to make sure you're all right. Someone like you? Yeah, like someone I think that's why I am the way I am in my nursing. Like then I would have been opened up and I'd been like, hey, I'm actually not okay. Can you please help me? Like, but because there's that stigma around being a young mum, you try and put on this front of like, yeah, I've got this, like I'm completely fine, like I'm the greatest mum, like you just, and you have so much more judgment, I feel, when you're a younger mum. Like people just expect you to fail. And that's also why I wrote my book. It's like that doesn't have to be your story. Like, people will put limitations on you, but that's a reflection of their own limitations.
Absolutely.
And that is not yours.
I was just talking about it with the young fella today, you know.
Yeah.
Someone calls you, you know, thinks you, you know, calls you dumbass or you're not smart or you're stupid. It's like that he's just, you know, showing you the parts within himself that he thinks about himself and believes in himself. So he projects it out to you. Well,
I had so many people say to my parents and me, oh, your life's over now. Like, you're just fallen pregnant young, that's it. Like, and a lot of people laughed at me. A lot of people ridiculed me online, like friends from school. They were like, oh, your life's screwed. And like, I kind of laugh now because I'm like, oh, I'm about to get my second degree. It didn't stop me at all. Like,
that's great. And some people don't even have this type of challenge and hardship.
Yeah.
And they still procrastinate to the point and are that, you know, unhappy with their lives where they have all this time maybe still. They still don't go out and study and they still don't pursue shit. But you've done it under the circumstances that you've been under. That's amazing.
Like, you know, I look back now and I think, how the hell did I get through my nursing degree? I mean, I was being beaten up in domestic violence. Like, I remember getting out of hospital, being discharged, and it's in my book. I turned up to my exam in a bloody hospital gown. I was bruised and battered, and they're like, nah, we will reschedule. And I was like, no, please let me sit this exam, because it was one of my hardest nursing exams. And I was like, I need to sit this exam, please. I've studied so hard. And I remember them going, are you okay too? And I was like, yep, I'm fine. Just let me sit it. And I sat it, and I remember getting a distinction. And I was like, I did it. Like, you know, no one's going to stop me from achieving my goals.
Not at all. Like, the only limits that you put on yourself is yourself does that. You do that.
Yeah,
you know?
and like, I always say, like, doubt kills more dreams than failure. 100%. Ever does. 100%.
Doubt does kill more dreams than failure, absolutely.
Yeah, 100%.
I've been helping out a lot of people about that sort of stuff, you know. And we create these limits within ourselves.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, at some point in our life. So that's the accountability. It's like, well, you can go off and blame such and such because you experienced that. They said, you know, you can't do this, you can't do that, or you're not good enough. You know, just always... You're nothing.
Oh, if I listened to everyone who said that to me when I fell pregnant with Byron, there's no way I'd be where I am today. Like, no way. I had so many people tell me. I had teachers make comments at school when they found out I was pregnant, and they're like, oh, that's no surprise. We knew she'd get nowhere. Like, I had so many people doubt me. And, like, I feel like my parents were the only ones who didn't doubt me. Like, my dad was like, you're still capable. You can do anything you want to. And he's like, I know that you can do it. So, and like, my mum was always like, I know you're going to do great things. You can do it. So I had mum and dad in my corner going, you can do it, you can do it, you can do it. So I think that really helped me. And so that's what I wanted to do with my book, because my book's, so it's going to be a hard copy as well. So it's an ebook at the moment. And I did that so people could download it and read it quicker, because a lot of people were like, I want to read it now. But it's also going through the Western Sydney University, so the Young Wellbeings program, which is a program for young mums. So it's like a course to help young mums who are struggling with like mental health issues like postnatal depression. So I'm currently in contact with them and working it in with them, and they're sorting out publishing for that book to be a part of that program. So
awesome.
Yeah, so like, that's so rewarding, and like, I can't 100%. Wait, because that was always my dream, was to help other young mums. And, you know, I used to attend like a young mums group when I was, because before I did my year 11 and 12 at TAFE, I was doing youth work. So I used to attend this young mums group, and I used to go to the homeless shelter and volunteer there, and I did all these things. And I met some really incredible people, and one of the girls who I actually encouraged her, she was doing youth work and support work, and I was like, you can do it, like, get through it, because she was a young mum. And I remember sitting in this cafe and I was feeling really down, because like, everyone knows who's gone through nursing school, it is rough, man. Like, it is brutal.
I heard it's bad. I heard a
brutal.
lot of people in and out all the time.
It's brutal. I mean, some nurses just aren't nice to you. It's horrible being a student. Like, you know, hats off to the students. I love my students. Like, I take them under my wing, but it's so hard. It's really rough. And I remember sitting in a cafe and I was like, I'm going to quit. Because at the time when I was a nursing student, I had long blonde hair, I had the fake eyelashes. I was real, like, you know, you can imagine, like, legally blonde, okay?
Oh, really?
Yeah, legally blonde. And so I had this nurse take a dislike to me, and she was like, you're so stupid. Like, you're never going to make it as a nurse. You have too much empathy. She's like, it's going to affect you. Like, it was just awful. And I remember sitting in this cafe after this placement, and Josh had rang me. He's like, how'd your day go, babe? And I was like, yeah, I'll be home soon. And I said, I think I'm going to drop out. And I was sitting in this cafe, and one of the young girls who actually I did the young mums group with, she walked in and she's like, hey, like, it's me. And I was like, oh my God, like, how are you? And she's like, yeah, I'm doing awesome. Like, I finished my course. And she's like, you know, you really encouraged me. And she's like, it made me feel better. And I finished it and I'm so proud. And I was like, oh my God. And like, I gave her a big hug and she's like, what are you doing here? And I was like, oh, yeah, I've just finished like a nursing placement. I think I'm going to drop out. And I remember her looking at me and she goes, why? And I was like, because I told her the whole story and I was like, you know, it's awful. And I remember her sitting with me and she's like, you know what? She's like, you were the one who motivated me, so now I'm going to motivate you. And she's like, get through it. Like, you're going to be fine. She's like, you can do this. And we sat there and had this big conversation. And then by the end of it, I was like, yeah, you know, that's right. Like, I used to run a young mums group and I was telling these young girls they could do whatever they wanted to. And now I'm sitting here going, I can't do it. I can't do it. And then I was like, no. I was like, I'm not going to have that doubt. And I remember going back and I finished it. And then I got on to my last placements and then I graduated. And I was like, oh, best feeling ever. And then, you know, I graduated and Josh was like, awesome, like, you know, you're done. You don't have to do that ever again. And I said, oh, actually, I've re-enrolled in law school. And he goes, what? I'm like, yeah, I'm going to be a medical negligence lawyer. That's my dream.
You got some drive, don't you?
I do. It's probably the ADHD.
yeah, probably. Yeah, you can harness ADHD. You're not medicated, are you?
No, but everyone at work says I should be. And they'll be laughing when they hear this because I seriously should be.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm like, I was like, I'm going to finish law school. And Josh was like, babe, like, you've just done a whole degree. Like, chill out, relax. I was like, no, I'm going straight back to law school. So, yeah, I went back to law school and, you know, I really wanted to be a medical negligence lawyer because of what happened to me. And, like, obviously as a nurse, you see a lot of things and I come from that field, so it'd be quite rewarding. But then I kind of thought about it and I was like, maybe I want to be a criminal lawyer. I don't even know yet. But, yeah it's just...
I could have used you back in the day.
Yeah. I'll come bail you out next time.
There's not going to be a next time, I swear.
You might need to bail me out. Who knows? Yeah. But, yeah, so I was like, I'm going to go back and do that. And so now I'm doing that. And then I'm kind of like, you know, I kind of want to work in, like, the mental health service and advocate for people and do my law and help give people a voice who can't afford it. And, like, you know, I said that to Josh and he's like, well, you got to earn an income from it. And I was like, no, not really. I was like, I reckon it'd be more rewarding to just, like, do pro bono work and help people who need it the most. Like, you know, we kind of live in a society where money talks, and I was like, I don't really want to be like that. I want to be like, hey, you need help? I've got your back.
100%.
And I've never lost an argument, so there's that.
Oh, yeah, well, you are a woman, aren't you?
Right? We're always right, you know.
Absolutely. Yeah. Always right, eh, Kels?
Always right. I've got her back.
Yeah. I know, better be careful, eh? Wow. What a journey. Like, you have really faced some incredible stuff, hey?
Yeah, it's been a long journey. I'm hoping now I've hit 30 I get sort of a break from stuff, but
well, the adventure never ends. What have you found that has been the most, I guess, I know, going through the things that you've been through requires, you know, and you are putting the work in for it. What have you found to be the most, I guess, greatest teaching that you've come across in terms of, like, getting oneself better? You know, I think being present in life is very important. If you're stuck in the past, you're stuck in some type of depression. If you're anticipating the future, you're birthing on anxiety all the time. So if you're not here, you know. I
think what I've found has helped me is, like, not sitting about. I mean, you can be a victim of life, right? You can be like, this happened to me and I can't do this. And I tell my kids this all the time. I'm like, you know, I say to Byron, you've had some crappy circumstances, mate, and I'm sorry, but don't sit there and be like, I'm a victim of life. You use those experiences to be stronger and get somewhere in life, and that's your motivation. So I feel like instead of, you know, sitting there and going, oh, this happened to me. Oh my God, this happened to me. Like, poor me. Like, I could make a million excuses, right, of why I didn't finish uni or, you know, things like that because of all these things that have happened to me. Instead, I used it as my motivation. And I was like, right, I'm in a bad place, but I'm not going to be in this place forever. I'm going to move forward. I'm going to achieve what I want to, and then I'm going to feel better. And so it's kind of added up. Like, you know, I finished my nursing and I was like, awesome. And now I'm in law school and it's like I'm finishing my law degree and I'm like, awesome. And then I did my book and I'm like, awesome, ticked off the bucket list. So it's like, you know, use those bad experiences that you've gone through and put them into something good. Like, make it productive.
Absolutely.
I mean, we've all got a sad story, right? Like, every single person on this planet, something's happened to them. Someone's had unfortunate circumstances. I don't think there's one person who could say, oh, nothing's happened to me.
Absolutely. And pain is pain at the end of the day. Hey, like, if you experience, you know, say, I don't know, you're young and you have your first love and that relationship ends and you feel that pain. Yeah. Like, that really hurts. But for someone that's been, you know, in domestic violence, that's another type of level of pain. But, you know, it's the same thing at the end of the day because you haven't experienced one or the other. You haven't had that other pain to compare it to, I guess, yet.
Yeah, and like, you know, bringing up the domestic violence again, like, you know, I see it on the news all the time, right? It's something big at the moment. And, you know, a lot of people are like, why didn't you leave? Because they don't understand, because they haven't been through it. And you're like, I wish I could have left. I wish it was that simple. And that's something like I'm really strong for advocating as well, is like, you know, if you don't understand or you haven't been through something, you can't really relate to it and you can't understand it. And that's why I used to actually be a really judgmental person. Like, I believe it or not, I was a very judgmental, black and white, well, you shouldn't do that, you shouldn't do this, blah, 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 despite me, a bit hypocritical. But
I get it. I live there too.
Yeah, like judgmental. And like, now I feel like I've grown from that. Like, I'm the most non-judgmental person there is. Like, you could tell me something entirely crazy and I'm going to sit there and be like, it's all good. It probably didn't, you know, that's probably a reason behind it. Like, and I feel like psychiatric nursing's helped me with that. But like my journey as well, I've realised there's no textbook to life, right? There's no black and white. There's no straight and narrow. There's no right or wrong. It's just your journey.
Yeah.
And like what you make of it. So yeah, like, you know, I said to my son Byron, like the other day we were having this talk and I'm like, you're going to make mistakes in life because everyone makes mistakes in life. That's how you grow. That's how you learn.
I love a good mistake now. It just shits me repeating the same ones. Like, come on, brother.
Look, sometimes I do repeat the same ones, but not as bad as I used to.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was like to Byron, it's how you deal with that mistake and how you grow from it that defines you as a person. And I was people are going to bring up your past. I have people who have known me in my past and they've gone, well, you know, probably watch this podcast and go, well, you're full of shit, you know. You weren't like that back then. But that's not who I am anymore, and I don't live there anymore. I've burned that whole building down.
Yeah, don't try and drag me back to somewhere where I don't live no more.
It's like, you know, people will comment on me from like 6 years ago, and I'm like, but you don't know me now. I'm a completely different person.
Yeah.
And you know, there was a lot of friendships and stuff that I broke when I was hurting, because hurt people hurt other people, right?
That's right.
And I didn't know how to trust, and I had real big trust issues because of my past and things that I'd gone through, and it was really difficult for me to maintain friendships. Like, I would have really close friends and then I'd be like, no, you're not on my side. Like, no, you're two-faced. Like, I really struggled with trusting people. And it's like, now I'm like, you know what? I need to let that go and trust people. And if they break my trust, that's on them. And then I cut that away. But yeah, like, so it is a journey of like growing from that and your experiences. And like I can confidently say I'm in a good place these days. We all make mistakes still, but like, you know, I've grown and learnt from them. So, yeah.
It's always going to be up and down. And, and you're right. If you lose trust in people, you lose trust in life. Like you said, you actually end up saying no to life if you let that trust affect you that much.
Yeah, 100%.
You won't experience anything different if you don't trust. Like you gotta. That's where the doors open, you know.
Yeah, and like a lot of my friends are obviously in psych nursing, and I don't really get much time to see them outside of work because I'm so busy all the time. But when I go to work, it's like I'm home. Like when I'm on the psych ward, even the patients, like I'm home. But maybe because I should be there. But yeah, like psych nurses, I always say, are the best nurses, and the reason why is because, you know, if you actually talk to a lot of us, most of us have been in that position. Like we have had mental health illnesses. We've gone through it. We've got really, you know, terrible things we've gone through. So like you walk onto a ward and it's like, I always say to them like, oh, I love you guys. Like you just make me feel better as soon as I walk in. So yeah, I'd love being a psych nurse. It's like you go to work and it's like a free therapy, right? And then you got the psychiatrist on hand and I'm like, look, I'm having a bad day.
Yeah. And then you see someone really having a bad day. Like, whoa, Bobby is smacking his head against the wall right now. He's having a bad day. I know that's a bad joke, but that's what I experience in there. I experience all types of stuff in there, and being in there and witnessing that, actually, now that I'm just sort of rolling with that, that was an eye-opener in itself. I actually got to experience everyone else in there. And see, like I'd met this guy who had crossed the line with meth. Yeah. The place of the point of no return, and it is sad. And I'm just like, sad. I don't want to get to that point, and it scared me a bit. And I think I needed that. Yeah, I think a lot of like the patients will say other patients and be like, no, I don't want to get there. Is yours in-stay? Yeah, so mine's inpatient, so it's acute. So so I work on acute, and I also work on like the high dependency units and stuff, so really, really unwell people, so you need to have a lot of patience. But hey, you need a lot of patience for a lot of things in life. But you know, I'll have a patient like, you know,
they'll be so angry that they're there, and rightfully so. Like you said, some people are under a treatment authority, they don't want to be there, and they'll be like, I want to get out, and I'm like, me too, buddy.
Yeah.
Let's go together.
Yeah.
I've had enough in here too.
Let's help each other get out of here, eh?
Yeah, so like I find a sense of humour really works with people, like sometimes, not always, but yeah, like I feel like it works, and you need to have that sense of humour, and most psych nurses have it. We do have a good sense of humour.
Oh, you'd have to.
Need it.
You'd honestly have to. It's like in construction, we banter all day because to take away the pain of...
Yeah. You don't realise it's like free therapy going to work sometimes, like, because I'm obviously so busy, and like I don't see a lot of people outside of work, and then when I do see, it's my family, because like I haven't had time to see anyone. And it's like you go to work and you're like, yeah, I'm where I should be. Like everyone's just like, oh, giving you hugs, and I'm so happy to see you. And it's like I'm actually excited to go to work tomorrow night.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I can't wait to go.
That's so good.
Yeah.
I guess that's what, that's my whole intention for all of this sort of stuff. Like, I want to make sort of like my, I guess, not a product, but just sort of base it off of helping people. The intentions of whoever I meet in the present moment. Yeah. I will do my very best to make the world better, whether it be the world without or the world within. But it all starts with the world within anyway. That's how you...
a psych nurse, I'm telling you.
That's how you help the world without. Yeah. Of course I'd love it. Like I
love it.
Yeah, I love talking. I've got some out there shit. I probably go a bit too deep with people sometimes. I'm like, who notices your thoughts? Ask you who notices your thoughts. That's you. And he's like... Man, I've just come off the meth. What are you talking about?
What you're talking about.
I notice my thoughts. It's Corey. It's like, well, that's your name.
Yeah. No, it's an awesome job. Like, they always say, like, if you love your job, you never work a day in your life, right? So I do actually love mine, and I've said to my husband, he's like, what are you going to do when you become a lawyer? I was like, I'm not giving up nursing. I'm still going to be a psych nurse in that. And I was like, that's the only like field I will stay in is psych nursing. But it's just too good to give up.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Yep.
So if how do people actually get into
psych nursing?
Not into psych nursing, I guess into psych nursing, but also like if someone was struggling, how do they get help from you guys?
So most of the time, like you would have to present to ED. That's how you would get into us. Not really sure the process. I mean, you can have family and friends who are like, hey, they need some help. But I feel like the model of health we have now is it's very centred around what the patient wants. So if you want the help, we're going to help you. But if you don't want the help, there's only so much we can do. And I feel like that's all psych nursing. But like, I feel like it's changed in a good way, because psych nursing back in the day, right? Like I couldn't have been a psych nurse. Like it was like, you're locked up, you're put away, like that's it. Whereas it's not like that anymore. It's like a real, like a friendly environment where it's like your rights matter. So that's amazing, because it didn't used to be like that back in the olden days. So it's like, I mean, we have difficult moments on the wards and stuff like that. You're gonna, like, it's psych nursing, any nursing job you do. But we have like really good moments. Like it's just the best feeling I see when you see someone getting better, and then they're coming out the door, and then you get to like give them a hug on the way out, and they're like, thank you so much, and they're on the other end. Like I think that's why I love it so much. And like, you're not always going to make a difference, right? Because you can't always.
No.
But, I just try to be that person who shows them I care. Like, if there's if you can just say you've got one nurse that cares, I feel like it changes your whole perspective.
100% it does.
Yep.
From experience, I know that for sure. And that takes someone to actually open their heart.
Yeah.
If you don't open your heart to someone, and you don't even need to say any words to this person that opens their heart. They can be in your presence, and you can just be like, I can tell this person that person I killed the other day.
Yeah. Don't tell me, please.
Yeah. But you know what I mean? I can share any type of dark secret with this person.
Yeah, and
that's
some people don't have that, right? So you're the first point of contact. So if you can have that relationship with one of your patients, like you obviously got to have those boundaries. But like if you're the one person they feel comfortable with and can open up to, you're winning.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a big impact to have on someone's life. And, I'll get letters written to me and they're like, you made a big difference. And it's like, that's when I'm like, yeah, I love this job. Like that's the best feeling ever, to have someone write you a letter and go, you're the one nurse that stood out. You made a difference in my life. And you're like, thank God. I mean, because, if someone's coming in with severe depression, if I've kept them here one more day and I've made them think it's worth living, job done,
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Oh, well done to you.
Thanks.
And like, congratulations on the book.
Thank you.
When's that actually? I don't know if you mentioned it before. Sorry.
So the ebook is already available. So it's on my
available.
website and it's in my link in my Instagram bio. But there is going to be a hard copy as well. So, yeah.
What's the Instagram there?
The Thomae Tribe.
Oh, the Thomae Tribe.
I was trying to be creative.
No, that's cool. I like that. The Thomae Tribe.
Yeah.
I'll chuck that up there as well. And
Yeah.
I like the ebooks. You know what I mean? Like, give people a choice. I love a paperback.
Me
book.
too.
I love it.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, I guess you're saving the trees, and you also give people the gift of actually getting what they want to. I'm not. You know, I'm 1 foot in, 1 foot out. I'm not.
Well, so many people were like, a lot of my work colleagues and stuff were like, can you just make the ebook available? Because I just really want to read it now. And I was like, yeah, okay. So I did that. And then I was in touch with the Young Wellbeings program, and they were like, we're sorting it out. Like, we're having meetings. I've got a meeting in a couple of weeks about it. And then they're going to sort that side of things out. So yeah, I've had a lot happening, let me tell you that. And I've got I've got uni and assessments and exams due and everything. So I'm like,
there's always a lot happening, eh? I think both ADD by the sounds of it, you know what I mean? I actually enjoy and thrive off, I guess, even though I get the shit sometimes, always having something to do. Like, I was prepping up a slab out there before you came here, and I'm like, fucking 3:30, I've got to have a shower, this and that. But I love not overthinking what I'm about to get into with you here, because
I
it's
feel like
like
my brain's like 100 things at once. It's like 100 tabs are open. I definitely have ADHD.
Hang on a sec, what's that?
It's like 100 tabs. Like, I'll be at work and I'll go to sit down at the nurse's station, and I'm like, oh no, I'm going to get back up. And everyone's like, just sit down, just stop. And I'm like swirling around on my chair. And then I'm like, oh no, I'm going to go chill with this patient. And everyone's like, what are you doing?
Kels must have it too, because she came outside before we're all like doing things around the house today. She's like, you know what I just did? I'm like, what? She's like, I just grabbed a bottle of water, and all I wanted to do was grab the bottle of water outside. She goes, I've just been blowing leaves for the last 40 minutes. And she's like, I haven't even finished the water yet.
That is so me. Yeah. It's like, because we do a lot of colouring in therapy and mental health, you probably remember it. They do a lot of colouring.
I did a lot of art there, and I tell you what, beautiful.
Art therapy, it's a good thing to have.
Simple.
But my brain, man, I cannot for the life of me. I colour one corner and then I'm up. And like, my patient will be like, you're not colouring with me? And I'm like, yeah, I am. I'm going to stand, and then I'm going to do a little lap, and then I'm going to come right back. And they always laugh, because they're like, Kirsty, that colouring in has been sitting on there for like months. That's still yours sitting there. And I've coloured in like one little leaf, and I'm like, yeah, I'm getting to it. I'll come back and
I'll do the other leaf next week.
And then I start another colouring in. I've like done a corner. Oh yeah, I'll come back to that one. Just all these unfinished colouring ins.
That's my wife.
It is.
It's always unfinished anyway. You can never... people put things into days like, oh, I've got to get this done today. It's like, just finish it off tomorrow.
It's just weird though. Like, I don't know how I get through uni, because like, how do I complete my assignments? I know that I get up a lot, like from the table.
Well, one thing I have found is like a lot of kids that I've observed with school that have ADD. They will have their ADD will be on fire when they when they're not interested in what they're learning. But as soon as it like one of the boys loves art, and I know if we took him to a doctor, they'd be like, he's got that, put him on this. And I'm like, not a chance. I just got to find a way to harness this kid's
100%.
Psyche properly.
I'm just going to calm down. But I'm like, how do I finish? Like, I don't know. Like, I think you're right. Like, you have to be interested in it. Otherwise, you're gone.
That's right.
Because like some subjects in law, I'm like, God damn, like I really struggle. And I'm sitting there and I start the 2-hour lecture and I'm like, nah. And then I'll just walk off, and then I come back, and I walk off, come back. Josh is like, that's a 2-hour lecture and it's taken you 8 hours. And I'm like, yeah, but I got there, right? And I'm like, I don't think I actually absorbed any of it.
Well, that's actually what I worry about sometimes. I go to read a book, and then sometimes I have to reread pages and that. I'm like, fuck, I get sidetracked. But I read the whole book, and I'm like, I look back, I'm like, okay, I finished the book. What have I learned from that? But it always pops up at the right time, like just having this conversation with you now, like, certain things pop up from books. And
so that's totally me. I can read like a whole book and scam read it and then go, did I actually learn anything? And then like 2 weeks later, I'll be like, oh yeah, like the criminal code. I know what I'm talking about. Yeah, that's me.
Oh, well, I think that's about time. This is about the time that the camera shuts off. I need to get a new battery for that thing. It cuts off at about an hour and a half, and then I've got to do this little audio thing at the end there. It's just us like looking like this at the end. But thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. It was
You're
so
very
good
welcome.
chatting with you.
Appreciate you taking the time, taking the drive down here and actually sharing your within world to myself and whoever bunch of these bone baggy guys are going to be.
They're probably like sitting here like they really need an ADHD diagnosis. Apart from that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, if anyone's, I guess, you know, there's a lot of experiences here that Kirsty's been through and a lot of help that she's going to be able to gift to the world from that hardship. She's definitely not letting it go to waste, that's for damn sure. So, you know, she's obviously got the ebook out there, the paperback book on the way, right?
Yeah,
on the way.
like, and if I don't make a difference, all that trauma was for nothing, guys.
And, and the social media, what, do you put videos up and all that type of thing?
Yeah, I do. I don't really use, like, I've used TikTok for fun stuff, but I don't really use it. But I'm more so on Instagram. Like, I used to have a pretty big following. I was like vegan and everything, completely different. And then I ended up getting rid of it because I was like, I don't want this anymore. But yeah, I'm back up on Instagram.
Good stuff.
So if anyone wants to follow me, you're more than welcome to. My inbox is always open. So.
Beautiful. Well, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Give you a quick hug before you shoot off.
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you so much.
Very welcome, thank you.
It was so lovely to meet you.
Yeah, you too.
And Kels is so happy. It's so good to see you on Instagram. Oh my God.
No, thank you very much.
No, thank you.
Sorry for everything that you've been through, but
Look,
you know,
sorry for everything
use
you've
it
been
for
through,
good.
but we've grown from it, right?
We have.
I mean, we're pretty boring.
All right, bone bags. That's it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you again. Actually, no, this is the last episode for a couple of weeks. Gonna have 2 weeks off, and then we will be back into it. Yeah, you're all gonna go on stress leave. Sick of me. All right, guys. See ya. Have a good one.